Welcome back, traders. Philip here from BlackBull Markets. Hope you're all doing well. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about trend lines. Now, trend lines are probably one of the most basic forms of technical analysis tools that we can use in the market to our advantage. Now, they are very, like I said, very basic, but I want to show you guys a little bit of a tweak on how I use them in the market. Now, I'm not just going to be drawing here on the board and saying good luck, guys. I'm going to show you guys, obviously, the examples of how I use them. And then we're going to jump over to the charts and the real life market. And I'll show you guys on a couple of charts, some examples and how what they actually look like and how we can actually trade them instead of, I'll show you guys the entry points and also stop out points as well, guys. So make sure to stick all the way through to the end of the video to see how I use these these trend lines to my advantage in trading. Also, make sure to smash that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in learning more about Forex and improving your current trading skills. So without further ado, guys, let's jump onto the whiteboard and see what we have. Now, trend lines, like I said, extremely basic. So I'll quickly show you guys an example of what a trend line might look like and how we draw trend lines. And obviously, trend lines are a trend definer, okay? They're the second sort of confirmation of a trend definer. The first, most common confirmation, obviously, are higher highs and higher lows, okay? Okay. Now, what that means is an upwards trend in this case is we're seeing old highs being taken out, okay? And we're seeing new lows being created above the previous lows, okay? And that defines a trend. Okay, now sometimes we might not always get a trend line, but when we can get a trend line where they do touch, perfect, okay? So again, simply trend lines are just attaching your trend line to the higher lows. In this case, of an upward trend, obviously if it's a downward trend, we're going to be attaching our trend line to our lower highs, okay? That's all it is. Very basic, very simple on how to draw a trend line. Now, when do we draw a trend line and when don't we draw a trend line? Okay, so first of all, I want to show you guys when we don't draw a trend line or when we don't readapt our trend line, okay? So first of all, I can't draw a trend line here, okay? Reason being, because there's no defined trend yet. This is our high, this is our low. Yes, we have a potential higher low, but we have not yet created our higher high, okay? So I can't attach my trend line because this can very simple be something along the lines of that where it could play out. So there's no real confirmation that it's a new trend, okay? So before I draw this trend line, guys, I need to wait for this high to be taken out. Then I can go ahead and say, okay, cool, there's my trend line. I've got a new higher high that broke my previous high, and now I can say, okay, this is a potential trend. Now I can wait for a bounce, okay? Now I can wait for the market to push back down and take a trade on that trend line, okay? Sometimes when a trend line is being very nice, we can even have it to play out as a channel of two parallel lines, but in this case, I'm just going to be focusing on the trend line, okay? So that's kind of how we define it. Now, I'm also not going to readapt my trend line if I see something like this, okay? Reason being, okay, we have not yet taken out that high, okay? So I'm not going to readapt my trend line because this high over here has not been taken out, okay? Now, if I readapt it to say, okay, this is my new low, I could be missing out on a trade, all right? So what do I mean by missing out on a trade? Okay, if I don't readapt my trend line, I could be waiting for a trade where this market does this, rejects on the trend line, and there's my entry to say the trend has now been reversed, okay? Guys, now the nice thing about trend lines are, well, let's go through the cons first, okay? Taking these sort of trend line reversal trades can be not as accurate, but they can be very high rewarding because a trend line break, guys, is a break of a trend. It's a new trend. We're looking to start a new trend. So this is the reason if we do trade trend reversals, guys, we can't be taking small profits. We have to be taking a high reward trade. Okay, our reward has to be great compared to our risk. Okay, our risk has to be very small, okay? We have to make sure when we play trend reversals, when we trade, guys, if we're looking for tops and bottoms in the market, okay, if we're looking for these tops and bottoms, we have to expect a small stop loss, low accuracy, but we are looking for a big reward, okay? So keep that in mind, guys, if you are going to trade these sort of trend reversal breaks. okay, or any sort of trend reversal pattern, whether it be a head and shoulders at the top of a zone, or double top at the top of a zone, okay guys, or vice versa, on support if we have a double bottom, you know, make sure that you are patient with those trades, guys. Okay, you have to be patient with trend reversal trades. Okay, you guys do know, if you guys have been watching my videos or our videos for a while, okay, I'm a big fan of continuation trading. Okay, so I like continuation trading because it's a quick, nice, easy trade. Depending if we have, let's say, resistance on this side, you know, entries, stop losses, and take profits. It's a nice, quick trade. But with trend reversal trades, I also take them. But I understand that my accuracy will be dropping down because there's a lot of noise happening at a trend reversal. There's a lot of uncertainty whether it's going to break a high or whether it's going to completely reverse and drop down to the bottom of the earth again. Okay, so keep that in mind. Be a bit more patient with these trading, any trades in the matter of fact. But trend reversal trades, you have to be very, very patient with. Okay, so those are sort of the ways I use a trend line, and how, obviously, guys, I just want to quickly cover to you, just a quick, if I didn't make it very clear, on how to trade normal trend line trades. Okay, so we have our trend line, we have our first, we've got our high, we have our low, we have a high, okay, and we now have potentially our first high low. So this is our low over here, sorry. So this is our first higher low, okay? Because we break on that high, there's our low, there's a higher low, there's a high, and higher high. Okay, so now we have our entry as the market rejects on this. The nice thing about trading with a trend and on these trend lines, because if I take an entry here, and stop loss obviously goes below that trend line, as the market moves up, I can move my stop loss according to the market. So as this market shifts, see if I can draw this. So as this market shifts, I'm going to be moving my stop loss below that trend line as this market is moving, which in that case means I secure profit every single time this market bounces on that trend line. Okay, and if we do end up taking out this high, for example, and we get let's say we get a nice swoosh where we take out that high, okay, we have another re-entry, stop loss to break even, we have another entry over there, and boom, we can continue on to trade these trend lines, stacking up our trades. Okay. Now, how do I close a trade when it's time to come to use purely a trend line? Now, yes, there are lots of other factors that I can use to close my trade or take profit targets, i.e. being, you know, previous resistance zones that we could be trading to. But if we are in uncharted territory, guys, how do we use a trend line to close our position? Okay, we have our low, we have our high, lower low, higher low, we have a higher high, we have our entry. Okay, let's just say we've got entry 1, entry 2, okay, we've moved our stop loss to break even, and now we get this right there. As this thing if I get it closed below this trend line, cut the trades, cut 1, 2 trades, or however many trades, whether you're on 1 trade, 2 trades, 3 trades, 4 trades, however many trades, guys, as soon as we get it closed below that trend line, cut it there, because chances are we're trying to play with odds here, guys. If we don't listen to and don't pay attention to what the market gives us, it'll burn us. If it says, guys, I've broken below a trend line, I'm closing below this thing that's been defining the trend, it might want to tell us, let's look for reversals. Okay, real life market examples. AUD CAD, I'll look at 2 of them. Let's jump over to, this is the 4-hourly term time frame AUD CAD. We'll take this away, okay? So we have a lot of data here back in this here, but this is a nice little low that we have had right over here. Now, obviously, if we want to look on the daily term time frame, we have other sort of market structures, but we're looking here at the 4-hourly term time frame. We're looking at this low right over here. Okay, there's our low, so let's see what we can have for trend line wise. At the bottom, pull it up,